this meeting to order. Who would like to
I'm
read?
ready.
You ready?
Yep.
Who would like to read our acknowledgement?
Sure.
Go ahead, Wayne. Councillor Wayne.
We acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries.
Thank you very much for that. Any additions or deletions to our agenda?
I have just a couple of concerns we could address them.
Can they go under information requests, program requests, or you want a separate line item, George? Councillor George?
They can go under information or program.
We can go under information or program.
Okay, we got echoing, but that's fine. So we'll put them under there. Anybody else? Any deletions or additions to the agenda? Hearing none, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll make that motion. I make the motion that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much for that.
video.
Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right.
Pat Lee went blank. Does that matter? Can we still hear you, Pat?
Not hearing anything.
Oh, I can hear, okay. Okay, so we've got a delegation tonight. Sarah from the Lamont County Family and Social Services. So I'm assuming you can share your screen, Sarah?
No, unfortunately, but I did my council, which is what I'm here to share tonight.
Can you hear this?
Oh, so you want us to pull it up on ours? Have you guys all got the presentation sent out by FCSS?
Sure.
Yeah, I got a paper copy.
Awesome.
I heard him out loud.
I have a
Good.
paper copy also.
Sounds good. Pat, you got yours?
Can't hear anything. Do you want to do my? Go sit here.
I can only see certain ones. Pat, you've got your, Councillor Pat, you've got your package? Councillor
Yes.
Dan, you got your package?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up here.
Okay, sounds good.
We have technical difficulties, Deputy Mayor. We're just moving Councillor Lee.
Oh, okay, so you want me to hold on? Okay,
Sarah, are you able to share your screen?
Give me 1 sec. No, it is not allow. It doesn't allow me to share.
Try that.
Oh, there we go.
so we forgot to put in our budget a technical person for all this kind of stuff.
Okay.
Oh, we missed that one?
Give me 1 second here. Sorry, I've got technical difficulties on my end too, so.
We see
can
your
see your
girls
screen.
dancing though.
All right. There.
Ah, there we go. Awesome.
Okay.
So go ahead, Sarah, you got the floor.
Thank you, everyone, for having me tonight. Thank you, Council, for allowing me to present the 2019 annual report and also speak to some of the ventures and programs and interesting times at FCSS. I won't, of course, go through the whole report because I don't want to put anyone to sleep, but I would like to make some highlights and answer questions that Council may have. Just a reminder once again that FCSS is preventative social programming, which means that we have an overarching goal to enhance the social well-being of individuals, families, and the community through preventative programming. This is done through 5 strategic directions. So our big push is always to help individuals become independent, make them aware of social needs within their community and within their families and cohorts, as well as help develop those interpersonal and group skills, as well as individuals helping them assume responsibility for their own actions, their own futures, and the choices they make that affect them, and then provide supports and help to sustain individuals active members of their community. And that's where a lot of our seniors work comes in.
Do you want questions in between or at the end,
It is
Sarah?
totally, if anybody can jump in at any time if you have a question, just so you don't forget it. That's
Okay,
totally.
thank you very much. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
absolutely. So once again, it's an eight, when it comes to the bulk of our funding, of course, it comes from the FCSS grant, which is a 20-80 split. So that means that the province provides 80% of the grant funding and the municipalities provide the other 20. So for example, in the larger picture here, FCSS provides us with $262,000, which is the vast bulk, approximately over half of what our department runs off of. If you'd like that broken down for Bruderheim, out of that 247,262, $36,155 is allotted specifically for the residents of Bruderheim. And then the 20% split from each of the municipalities is listed in there as well, including the municipal contribution from the town of Bruderheim of $9,038. We also have other funding sources as well. We can see that ParentLink is a large funding source for us, and Early Steps as well. That I'll speak to in a little bit, because we know that probably many of you know, and a few of you may have heard through the grapevine that that funding ceased to exist effective March 31st, and that is correct. We also receive some sponsorships and donations for some of the work that we do. The Canada Summer Student Grant is a huge contributor to our summer programs, and Lamont County over contributes. So Lamont County's base, their 20% is approximately 30,000, and they give us over twice that to keep our department running and keep the programs in the communities. So.
That's awesome, Sarah. I have a question.
Yeah.
So what is your total spend from 2019?
Okay, my total spend from 2019, I don't officially have right in front of me, but it's approximately, usually my department runs approximately about $400,000.
Okay, and percentage-wise, is there a breakdown on the spending between the different municipalities?
So it's really difficult with our programs to see where the specific spending is actually being allocated. It's very simple when it comes to programs such as when we host an event, such as if we spend $10,000 on volunteer appreciation, it's pretty evenly split up between the 4 that we do. So that would be easy to pin mark $2,500 for Bruderheim. But when it comes to a lot of the work that we do one-to-one with individuals, or a lot of the universal programs that we offer throughout the county, we don't keep track of dollars and cents as to where our staff are spending their time per municipality.
Okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately that breakdown isn't available.
Okay, I was just wondering. Thank you.
You can see though in some of the programming as to give you a sense of where we're spending the majority of our time. So if we sneak down here first to community development, one of the things that a lot of people, I always say that there's kind of 3 tiers of supports that we provide each community. And that is the one-to-one, the group, and then the event. And it's really interesting because the events are the most popular, and they're usually what people focus on when it comes to how they know FCSS. That's our volunteer appreciations. That's our community awarenesses. That's when we do our big programs. And then there's the group, which is kind of the middle ground. That's our Parents and Tots. That's our summer programs. That's our seniors connections. That's our mental health first aid courses. That's the group stuff. And then there's the one-to-one. And arguably the one-to-one is where we do spend a good chunk of our time, all of us. And it's probably the most valuable when it comes to outcomes for individuals personally. And yet it's the least recognized by individuals because it's not something that's regularly talked about or broadcasted in the communities. So information and referral is something that can be as simple as sitting down with someone, connecting them with where they need to go, or working with someone over the amount of months or years to not only connect with them, but follow up with them and support and advocate for them on behalf of their family to the systems. Of course, a big chunk of what we do, there is quite a bit of Alberta Works work, but as you can see, there's a lot of seniors benefit information. So we work, I have one coordinator that spends the vast majority of her time working with seniors and helping them navigate the system because it is so challenging for our elderly. The government does not make it easy for them to access the benefits they need. So in regards to working with those individuals, what we've done, and Mayor Hauk, I don't have a cost breakdown, but I do have a percentage wise. And that is that when we deal with all of those individuals, we put them together, we count them up, and 23% of them overall come from the town of Bruderheim.
Okay.
Nice, thank you.
We continue to host our interagency, and I've been very, very thankful that members of Bruderheim Council have attended when they are able. So thank you for that. We've spoken a bit about community awareness nights in the past, and there's been some concerns in regards to whether they are still current and relevant given the times that everything is online. I leave that up to the communities. However, I have heard feedback from both sides. One side is that there are a lot of individuals that are not interested in accessing a community awareness night because of the fact that everything is digital these days. Even more so at the moment. And many of the targeted families that we used to attend to reach are accessing registration services, etc., through other means digitally. I've also heard the other side too, where there's been a lot of individuals that come to communities and are new there. And even though they may be a small percentage, they find these events very beneficial. And I've also gotten the feedback from the vendors or the presenters at these events that it's a very rich networking experience for them that they really look forward to each year. So once again, we take the feedback that comes from the community to continue these events and modify them if necessary. But the numbers for last year were pretty much on par with what they've been for the past probably 4 to 5 years, up by 10, down by 10, in the same kind of in the ballpark there, around 50 to 60 participants from the community walking in the doors. So volunteer appreciation. We thought that Bruderheim volunteer appreciation was a huge success. We got a lot of positive feedback. It seemed to go off quite well, and attendance was up by a bit. So 95, almost 100 people. So this is something that sadly this year was, it's technically still only postponed due to COVID-19. So, I mean, there is part of us that have a glimmer of hope that maybe this will clear up and we might appreciate our volunteers in December. But there is a real chance that we might not be able to realize this year. However, if so, plans will be set and ready to go for 2021. Just touching on income tax clinics, we completed 102 tax packages, which is huge. And 95% of our overall tax packages came from low income seniors.
Yeah.
I won't highlight absolutely everything because, like I said, so if you have any questions of things that I may be going through here, just anytime, let me know. Parents and tots, very, very strong parents and tots in Bruderheim. There's some strong families there, and your numbers have been up consistently year after year. The program has grown. I've had the opportunity to visit that program on several occasions, and it's an extremely strong group of parents that you have there that are very welcoming to new families, which is really good to see. And I'll touch upon that in a second here when we talk a bit more about ParentLink. Lamont County Regional Day Homes, we only have the 2 providers in last year, but we've added a 3rd. So you have 2 providers. There's 1 provider located in the town of Lamont. There are 2 providers located in the town of Bruderheim. And they both have spaces available right now. That is, family day homes was not something that was shut down due to COVID-19. They were allowed to stay open. So many of them lost a lot of children due to the fact that parents were losing their jobs. So we did have quite a few openings at first. That with phase 2 coming back in, now we're seeing that those spots are starting to fill up, but we do still have full-time spots available in the town. Now, Parent Link. So Parent Link is one of those beautiful things that we acquired approximately 4 years ago, and it gave us $70,000+ to hire a coordinator and put together some pretty amazing programs, along with some support specifically for parents with children ages 0 to 6. So the Parent Link programmer provided some of that funding and that support to our parents and tots groups as well. We were able to pay for facilitators. They got some pretty fancy snacks, pretty fancy crafts, some guest speakers. We were living pretty rich times under that 0 to 6 dome of early childhood development funding. And then the government announced that Parent Link was no more. And as of March 31st, our funding ended. Now, before that, what they did come out with was the Family and Family Resiliency Network, or Family Resource Network, that's based on the Family Resiliency Framework, Resiliency and Well-Being Framework, that's brand new to the government, and it covers families with the scope of 0 to 18 for children's ages, and it covers the scope of not just Parent Link programming, but also youth programming, also home visitation, also what they call diversion. So it's before intervention. When it comes to children's services families, before the intervention happens, there's what's called a diversion program for those families to prevent intervention from happening. And they wrapped that all up in a nice little bow and presented this package and then said, we want everyone and anyone who thinks that they can deliver these services to apply. Now, the hub is responsible. They've put together a system that's a hub and spoke system. So the hub is responsible for an area, geographic area, to make sure that all of the services listed in the Wellbeing and Resiliency Framework are being provided to all of the citizens within that geographic area. They then contract, the government also contracts and identifies spokes, and spokes are the individuals that provide those services. So we applied, Lamont County Region applied to become a spoke service. And what we proposed was that we take the programming that we were currently doing with Parent Link, modify it, and expand it to include 0 to 18, so youth programs, etc. And we applied and we got the funding. So the good news is that in 2020 and 2021, these programs will continue along with more. Now, one of the challenges is, are we doing more with less? Yes, we are. I guess that's what the government was going for. So, but there is some really great work right now. I invite you to go onto Facebook and like the Lamont County Family Resource Network. The reason being is there is a lot of good things that are going on right now during COVID. As we're not able to do face-to-face programs, there is still programming that is available to community members, along with supports such as Triple P for families, and kids have stress too. There's one-to-one support for families in need, and there's all sorts of fun competitions and neat little mental health activities and stuff on there. So we really encourage people to check that out. So this will be the final report that you will see, First Years Network Lamont County Region, because it is officially no more. However, look forward to seeing the Family Resource Network for Lamont County Region. Any questions in regards to?
So from funding perspective, I know they always want you to do more with less. You were getting what, 79,000 for your parent link. What are you getting now then?
Well, we were getting about, okay, so how it worked out is Parent Link was giving us 78,000 and Early Steps, which we also lost, was giving us 27. So now we're getting 80. So we've lost about $25,000 and we have to do 0 to 18.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So home and community visitation, this is one that is available to all of your residents. It's where we have an individual coordinator that will go out into individuals' homes that are unable to. We encourage people, families to enter the community, to be independent as much as possible if they're able to meet with us one-to-one at the office. But we also understand that through extenuating circumstances, that's not possible. So we do go out to individuals' homes and work with them one-to-one. And that can be as little as 2 to 3 visits, or there's some clients that we have effectively worked with for years based on their level of need. Once again, I touched on this as well. Early Steps to Success Coalition was a coalition that worked within the county. We were very proud of. They had a 9-year run. They did a lot of work around the promoting the importance of the early years and early childhood development. Unfortunately, they've lost their funding. However, FCSS Lamont County Region has decided to take them on regardless and continue to support them under the FCSS dome. So they will not disappear, but they will not have the funding to do some of the things that they used to do, like build a play center in St. Michael or be on the radio, pretty high end. They had quite a bit of ability to host some pretty interesting National Child Days, things like that. We will have to get creative in the future due to loss of funding. We're also happy to report with the babysitters course, we've actually branched out, and now this year we're offering babysitters course and home alone in all the communities, including Bruderheim. And right now during COVID-19, we're offering an online home alone course next Tuesday, and I believe we're full. So
that's great.
Yeah, so the next one we'll be looking at is a babysitting course. So it's just like council today where we meet on Zoom. That's how we're registering with the children, and then we deliver them their books to their homes, and then they log on and we teach. So there is also a plan in the works right now that it's being developed for an online True to You come fall.
What was that?
The True to You course for grade 5, 6 girls. Yeah,
okay.
Right now we're working to develop an online course for fall.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of individuals, when we talk about a lot of these programs that we had running specifically for youth, the big one that comes up that everyone's asking us about is summer programs. Due to the challenges of the world that we're living in right now, it's been a discussion between Lamont County and the FCSS board that summer programs as we know it will not proceed. However, we have hired one summer student that we have great faith in to work with one of my coordinators, and we are going to be offering online summer programs. They'll be available to all children in the county, as long as, of course, they have digital access, and they'll be free of charge.
So question.
Yes.
If I may, do you foresee then that the internet will become much more important going forward in the future, because you can see opportunities to be able to present education to people in that format? I
think this is something that we're all learning right now, actually, is the fact that when to be honest, when we were first told that everything that we knew, everything that we do had to stop and we had to start reinventing the wheel, we really didn't know what we were doing. I don't want to say that, but the truth is that we were really starting from scratch with nothing. And the very first thing that we did was we put together a daily live Facebook. So every 4 days a week on the FCSS Facebook page, one of us, and now it's Melissa exclusively, but back then when we started, one of us would go live and either talk about an important fact or do a fun activity or talk about resources that were available or address resilience or mental health. And the response that we got right off the bat was overwhelmingly positive and supportive from the community. So then it was the community that came to us, members of the community, that would say, if you do this online, we would support this. If you did Home Alone online, we would support this and register our kids. And so we're finding that moving forward in the future, even when we have regular programs open up, there's going to be still, I think we're going to retain a lot of these elements still because of the fact that we're reaching new people that we didn't reach before.
I think that's important, right? That's exactly what I think this whole thing has done, is made us reach some people that we never did before, which is
right.
Good.
Because there are a lot of individuals that are not community connected, but they are digitally engaged. And so, so that's a new population for us. So I guess my answer to your question is yes. I think that this will be valuable moving forward, and I can't see us scrapping all the hard work we've done.
Sorry, Sarah, do you have dates for babysitters and Home Alone?
Home
When they'll
Alone's
be
next
offered?
Tuesday, and it's full, but we're going to offer it again. I don't have the dates yet for babysitters course. They haven't been posted. Okay. But those dates for all of our programming, I'm pretty sure, Councillor Lacko, you're a member of our Facebook page, are you? I
believe so. Yes.
I'm pretty sure your children are. So all of our advertising goes out there, and then we also try very hard to make sure that we're sending as much as we can to Bruderheim when it arises, so that it can be added to the newsletter. The last couple months have been, because everything's been so chaotic and different, that groove may have been slightly disrupted, but it is regular communications to make sure that that's farmed out, to make sure all the municipalities are aware of upcoming programming. So,
Sarah, can I ask a question? It's
Thank
Patty.
you.
Hi.
Yeah, go ahead.
How come you max out on a online platform? You said you're full.
We max out on how many we're allowed to teach at once. We can't max out on an online platform. Yeah. No, we're only allowed to take a maximum of 10.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Both the babysitter's course and the Home Alone course are provided by Kids Smart Canada. So we have a license for those. Seniors networking, unfortunately, has halted. However, it was fairly popular, and we really appreciated the partnerships we did have in Bruderheim. They allowed us to come to the seniors' home and speak with the individuals on a fairly regular basis, as well as participate in some of the days that they had the kids there from the school. So we've always extended our support to the local senior centers, and anytime we're needed, we'll be there. Seniors Appreciation Week went off without a hitch. Numbers were about the same as they were the year before. I know that we had spoken in regards to maybe changing this event up. There was suggestions from Patty that it might be better served in the fall, and perhaps with something other than a luncheon. And those conversations were, of course, taking place. And then challenges that I believe that those conversations will probably be forwarded to next year.
So this year you really didn't do nothing for the seniors because of COVID. Okay.
We did online, and we posted thank you.
That was it. Okay. Yeah.
Our Snow Angels program now has morphed into Lawn Elves. So we do have a program right now that's running where we have individuals that are now mowing lawns and raking leaves and things like that for local seniors. And that's actually just starting up, but we still already do have individuals in Bruderheim that are receiving that service where we match them with volunteers. So
good to hear. I'm getting there, so I might need that.
Well, give us a call. That's specifically it for the final report. But what I would like to add is some of the things that we're doing now, because of course the question is that well, what are you doing now that COVID has hit? And so what I'd like to go over briefly is just quickly what services are available through FCSS. What the FCSS board has done is we've worked very hard with them to create some programming to be provided to individuals in the community at this time that's specific to outreach and mental health. One of the first things that we did after we went live when COVID first came was we put out an online survey and we asked individuals what were their priorities for support. The two that came back as number one and number two. Number one was food security and number two was mental health support. So the two programs that we kind of prioritized. Oh, and I should add that the vast majority of the individuals that we did talk to and that did complete the survey, there was actually a lot of feedback and concern for our seniors. So we took that into account as well. So the first thing that we did was we put in an application for the COVID-19 support funding to put together somewhat like a Meals on Wheels program. We call it Meals in Motion. And this program is available to all seniors throughout the county, regardless of income. The meals are $5 a piece and we deliver them. So we're in partnership with Elk Island Catering. The funding allows us to heavily subsidize the meals, so they're not expensive. And also gives me the budget for mileage for my staff because they're driving throughout the county. And right now we're on 100 meals a week.
So is that a hot meal or a frozen meal?
Frozen meals.
Okay.
Yeah. The second thing is that we partnered with the Vegreville FCSS and district, who have been really wonderful, and we've been very close for quite some time. They're hugely supportive. And we have a contract now with them so that we can provide over the phone with a psychologist counseling appointments that are billed up to free of charge for residents based on their income. So in addition to the mental health supports that are provided through Alberta Mental Health and the Lamont Health Center, we also have that outlet and avenue to make sure that our residents are receiving the mental health support that they need.
Yeah, I guess my only concern with that is seniors a lot of them don't have access to internet, is what I found.
This is over the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they need to know about it, right?
Yeah, they need to know about it, which is one of the reasons why we try and, one of our biggest challenges is that we try to promote this any way we can, but right now it is definitely digitally, a lot of it's digital.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
But it is something that is definitely available. Also, a reminder through the Family Resource Network, we're doing positive parenting one-to-one with any family that wants it. We do the Kids Have Stress Too, that's available online and also one-to-one. We do the Ages and Stages developmental tests with kids to measure where they're at developmentally and then help refer them to through Alberta Health Services to the services they need. We've also put together some programs, Community Kids Connections, another one that runs every single week and encourages family interaction, and there's prizes and things like that online. There's the Family Connection and Mental Health Project, which is free to all families throughout the county. You register for it and we deliver packages, and in those packages are games and crafts and mental health information and tips and tricks for healthy family dynamics, things like that. So those packages, and we deliver them all safely, sealed, and it's a doorway drop off to any family throughout the county. We continue to do a lot of information and referral over the phone. We're still working with the food bank every Thursday. We also have continued to offer the volunteer income tax program, and we've hit over 100 returns so far. So the vast majority now would be done, but there's still a few trickling in. Like I mentioned, family day homes are still up and running. The Lamont County Interagency is still meeting every 2 months via Zoom. And I believe that many of you are on the mailing list, but if you would like to be added, let me know. Seniors benefit assistance, once again, is something that is offered. And we do offer social distancing 1-to-1 at the Andrew office if there's an extreme need, such as a senior is unable to utilize a computer or things like that, and we need to. We've done a lot of like parking lot deals of like changing paper and things, just trying to get the supports to the people. And yes, we've hired a summer student who will be primarily responsible for rolling out summer programs and developing our fall sessions of True to You.
Thank you for that. Good.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question if no one else has a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
I think that FCS does a wonderful job and has a super mandate. Just wondering, do we know what the percentage of the spend of the Lamont County FCS is for salaries?
Yep. Just give me 1 sec. I am going to.
I apologize if it's in that package. I don't think I saw it, but
sure. No, I didn't add financials. Usually, for council meetings, I don't add financials, but those should be in your if you get committee reports with the board package from the FCSS board meeting. But I definitely can pull it up. I just want to make sure I don't show. Is there a way I can?
Yeah, well, I was just kind of curious on salaries and programming, like how it breaks down. That's all.
Sure. So when you talk about salaries, I will tell you right off the bat, the vast majority of my budget goes to salary. That's because we don't spend a lot of money on things, right? Are you, in regards to, are you asking how much of the salary is administrative? Or are you asking in total how much of the salary for the budget?
Whatever information you have available that you could tell us.
Sure. Okay.
Probably just how much per budget, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you got. I'm thinking that would be the easiest probably.
Sorry, you just have to give me a second. My computer's just popping up here.
No problem. And while the computer is thinking, the other comment that I've heard from folks in clustering is the teen programs are wonderful and reach a lot of kids, but they seem to be a little bit, I don't know what the right word is. I don't want to really say haphazard, but it seems like sometimes they're on and then they're off, and there's not a lot of notice sometimes when they're being closed down or not running when normal times. And I'm just wondering, how does that communication get out to folks so that they know that it's happening, or do they just arrive and there's a sign in front of the door saying there's no teen time tonight, or
Sure. So the only times that teen night has been canceled are there's been a few instances where we've gotten to it's been specifically gym night that I'm aware of that's been canceled, and we've gotten to the gym and the school has not advised us that the gym's being utilized. So we ran into that a couple times where we received phone calls from staff members. I'm not sure if this is what you're relating to, but we received phone calls from our summer program or our youth program leaders that were on site that said that our space was not available. So it was a last minute cancellation. It was not, so the signs go up and it is. So that's unfortunate, and that's a communication error glitch that we are aware of, and we were working on, and we will continue to work on to make sure that those line of communications are open so that we get those calendars in advance, and we know, hopefully we know when that's being canceled. Besides that, the only other time that a program such as the youth center would be down is they usually have a approximately 45-minute kind of rule with the staff members there, that if no children show up within the first 45 minutes, they will call the coordinator and they will make the call based on whether it's been, let's say, the second or third Thursday in a row that no one showed up. But don't quote me on this, but I feel confident that that has not been an issue. We have had kids at the youth center on a consistent basis, but like I said, the only ones that I am aware of are the gym night challenges. And that was when it wasn't communicated to us that the space was not available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, communication is always the toughest one, right?
Right. And you know what, it's really, and I get it, it's really tough. You've got 1,000,001 things in a school to try and organize and manage. So it's also up to us to advocate and maybe double and triple check and make sure that those times, those things are available. So right now, as it stands, now my budget for 2020 was going to be quite a bit more this year with the introduction of Parent Link, but then the salary wise, let's see what the percentage would be. I'm so sorry, guys. My computer is.
Well, and if you have a problem finding it, Sarah, that's something that you can get back to our administrator and she can distribute it out to us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, the financials are released to the FCSS board. So that's something that Counselor Schoolsball can also forward on a semi-monthly basis to council if you'd like to have the running finances. And also when I meet with the CAO, I also try and bring finances as well. I just did a quick calculation, and 70.56% is salary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Sarah? Hearing none, sounds good. Thank you very much for coming out, Sarah. We appreciate it.
Just a big thank you for everything you guys do for us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you
for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
Always good information and something we can pass along to our residents by all means.
And if there's any other follow-up information you require, just let me know and I'll make sure you get it.
Awesome. Thank you very
That's
much.
great work, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay. So with that presentation, I need a motion to accept Sarah's presentation.
I would move to accept the FCSS presentation as information.
Thank you very much for that, for Carl. Any questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Pat Lee, are you on? Councillor
Yeah,
Lee?
aye.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I didn't hear you. Sorry. I'm trying to watch and trying to hear at the same time. Some evidently doesn't work well. Okay, let's go on to our minutes of our regular June 3rd meeting. I need a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll move that we accept those minutes of the
Thank-
June 2020 regular meeting of council.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Lee. Any questions or concerns with those minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor of adopting the minutes of June 3rd meeting, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
And they're carried. Thank you very much for that. Okay, on to council priorities, information requests. And we'll start with you, George.
I have two issues I'd like to bring forward for information. I would like to know what the reasoning is for removing the barriers at the Queen's Park, the post barriers, and what the plan is for installing some sort of a fence or a barrier to protect that park. As it is now, we're pulling those barriers out, and from the information I've gleaned, no protection will be put into that. And I feel before that happened, that should have come to council for discussion.
CAO Patty, have you got any comments on that?
Deputy Mayor through Council Campbell, I will get back to you on the July 8th council meeting with response to that.
Sounds good. So, and I just clarified, George, did they take down the retaining wall there or something? You're talking about barriers. I'm not sure if I even know.
No, they took down the posts that keep traffic off of the park. And this is
Oh, I
something
see.
that I
Okay.
wasn't aware of.
I'll have to go have a look. I haven't been up there for a while, but okay. Patty will look after that for us and get back to us. Any other, you had something else, George?
Yes, about 10 days ago, I was going down the 48th Street, and they just tarred it, and I was looking at the strips of cracks where they were tarred, and many places the tar was on the surface but not in the cracks. I brought this up to our public works foreman, and he was supposed to look at it. I haven't had any feedback.
Okay, so Patty can talk to Dennis and have him get back to you, or something like that.
The thing is, are we doing just a cosmetic procedure, or are we filling the cracks?
Yeah, so we'll leave that with Patty as well. If you talk to Dennis, he'll probably know what you're talking about that time period, and we'll have him get back to us. Does that work for you, Patty?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor, that'd be great. Thank you.
Who's dying on us? Who's coughing?
Councillor.
Oh, Councillor Pat, are you okay?
Yep, good.
Okay, sounds good. Need to look after her there, eh? Anything else for information requests, George?
Nope, not at this moment, but I would sure like a follow-up on both issues.
Yeah, so we'll get Patty to give us an email follow-up, or the first one she'll bring back to the July 8th meeting, and the Public Works one, she can probably get back to you quicker. I'm sure Dennis knows what she's talking about, and she'll get back to you probably through email.
Whatever is quickest.
Does that work for you, Patty?
Yeah, that'd be great, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Okay. Councillor Dan, any information requests?
I had a question from a resident. They were asking, I guess in the city, they were told that any residents that have swimming pools or trampolines, they need fenced yards. Do we have any laws or bylaws or anything here that are equivalent to that?
So Deputy Mayor through Councillor Schoolswell, yes, we do, depending on the size of the pool.
What about trampolines?
I don't believe trampolines have a bylaw, but that I'll have to get back to you. I don't remember that in our bylaw. For sure, swimming pools over a certain size, but I can get back to council on those exact.
And a lot of that comes back to provincial regulations. I think we just followed that one and it went into our bylaw, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know if trampolines are on even that provincial one. So
Deputy
So
Mayor
maybe-
through Council School Spot, that was City of Edmonton had a trampoline one?
Yeah, this is what the resident said that, yeah. Yep.
Okay, I'll check into that. I've never heard of trampoline, anything.
Okay.
For
'Cause
sure, the swimming
realistically-
pools, yeah.
Yeah, realistically, if you think about it, it's the same type of scenario where somebody can go into a yard that's not fenced off, jump on a trampoline and break their neck, and you know. So, yeah.
Okay,
But I was just curious. Again,
good.
that's it for me.
Good point. Okay, thank you very much for that. Councillor Wayne?
Just a couple things. Has there been any feedback yet from Fortis in regards to lampposts when they'll be coming out to do separating of the ones that are leaning?
Deputy Mayor through Councillor Lecco, no, we haven't got any confirmation on schedule.
Okay. So I've got some more residents that are asking as well, so I'm just curious as to when. Will we know soon, do you know, or is that something they're just gonna come and do at their leisure?
The Deputy Mayor through Councillor Lecco, because of COVID, I'm sure you've seen everything is far, far behind. And, but we are following up. I know Dennis has been in contact with them about a number of issues. So as soon as we know, I will definitely let council. Oh, you guys probably will know before us though. They'll just show up and do it in the dark probably.
Fair enough.
Good.
And just one other thing, as I'm walking around, it's just, again, maybe just a safety thing. There's a couple benches that are on Main Street that aren't secured. And I'm just, for safety reasons, and I'd hate to see somebody get hurt or somebody decide to move them on us or whatever the case may be.
On
I
Main
will
Street? you
address
said?
that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Anything else, Councillor Wayne?
Other than that, just curious how the summer jobs filled out. Did they all
Deputy
get
Mayor
filled,
through
all
Councillor Lecco, how many you were interviewing on Monday for the admin, and they were interviewing yesterday for the labor position that should be filled by tomorrow. I'll let council know tomorrow who the successful candidate for that was.
So is there just one or two for Public Works?
There's one labor we advertised for Public Works and one Public Works admin support.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They're both
right.
Public Works, just one was for admin support.
Gotcha. Okay. Oh, thank you.
See if we can get Dennis organized.
Especially since he's got that new office, eh?
Yes.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Councillor Lee?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Mayor Carl?
Just two things I'd like to inquire about. The first one is just would like to know what the policy is for contractors working for the town as far as their PPE and looking after security of the buildings when, like for example, this past weekend, there was a contractor working on the town building, the town office building. And the second thing is I would like to ask if administration could look into the possibility of stop signs at 50th Street and 50th Avenue in both directions.
Okay, so the first one, Patty, I guess we'll leave that with you just to address what their policy is. And I'm almost wondering, so are you concerned what the contractor's policy is, Carl? For
Well, when contractors are working for the town, I imagine that staff, especially on weekends when there's nobody around, that someone must be shepherding them to ensure that they're following the safety rules and using their proper PPE to protect themselves and anybody else, and the security of the town buildings.
Patty, do you have anything to say on that, or do you want to follow up on it?
Deputy Mayor to Mr. Mayor, I'll have to check if we're prime or they're prime. Then I can answer that question.
Okay, thank you. And the second one was stop signs again, Carl?
Yeah, they investigate the feasibility of having a four-way stop at 50th Street and 50th Avenue right at where the Lutheran church is.
Am I not mistaken? Did we not do that one?
Did we not? Did we not address that already?
that was only for one way. The administration said they had never been asked to the feasibility of the four-way, so now that's what I'm asking for.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, Patty, we'll leave
Just to
that one with
investigate
you.
Deputy Mayor, through Mr. Mayor, could I ask for a motion for that? That's another, I have to hire a traffic engineer again to study that. I never asked
Okay.
that the first
So do
time.
you want to go that one into program request perhaps?
Please, that would be better. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and myself, I have no information requests. So let's go on to program requests and we'll go backwards. So I guess we'll start with Mayor Carl.
Yep. I just wanted to ask if we could have a feasibility investigation of the 50th Street and 50th Avenue, if we could turn that into a four-way stop. And I'd like to make a motion to that. I'd like to make a motion to that point.
Okay. Go ahead with a motion then. Where you're just
I would move that administration be directed to investigate the possibility of feasibility of having a four-way stop at 50th Street and 50th Avenue, right by the Lutheran Church.
Okay, thank you for that. Any questions or concerns with that?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'll direct it to CAO Patty. What would the possible expense for a study like that be? And do we have that kind of money in the budget for it?
Mr. Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, I don't have money in the budget right now for this. But, and I don't have an estimate on the cost because it was quite an extensive study that we did last time. I did traffic counts, involved some modeling, which we'd have already. I just didn't ask about making it a four-way stop. I only asked about a two-way. So I couldn't give you a cost right now, but it would be for sure a couple $1,000s.
And what's the differential between a four-way stop and a two-way stop at that intersection? The only possibility is distance of vision, right?
So Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, I'm not a traffic engineer. I can't tell you what the difference on the study or the recommendations between a four-way and a two-way. I'm not sure what they use for modeling to decide that. I know that wasn't enough to justify a two-way stop. And that's what I asked before. I didn't ask about a four-way.
Because we have the same kind of traffic going on every other one of the four streets from 49th to 52nd.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Dan.
So I was just curious if administration would be able to ask the previous engineer if the modeling that they already have, if they're able to look at that information and maybe make a call based off of that.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor to Councillors, because well, absolutely, yeah, that's what I would do. I just really don't have any idea if they would charge us for that or not.
Okay.
I'm just curious what, because I don't drive down those streets very much. What's the difference between each street? Is one busier than the other, or is it just because it's a church there? I just so I have some understanding.
I think that's where we had the accidents of accidents that have been along that particular right there at that intersection. I think
that's right. And there's been residents asking for the town to do something about those incidents and to try to control the traffic. Seems that people use that street to bypass Main Street, and they go fairly quickly down that street in the past. And I do know that that church at times has some very large events happening where there's a lot of people and vehicles in that area and pedestrians. And I just think from a safety standpoint, it makes sense to do something there.
Okay. Any other questions or concerns about the motion?
Sorry, can you repeat the motion, please?
Motion is to direct administration to investigate the feasibility of a four-way stop at 50th Street and 50th Avenue by the Lutheran Church.
Okay, so call for a vote on this motion. All those in favor of getting administration to as per the motion? Say
Aye.
aye. All those against? Say aye.
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 Aye. So that's denied. Saying that, perhaps Patty, could we get you to contact this outfit that did the initial study and see if there's going to be a cost and what the difference a four-way stop would make? Just see what their feedback was, if they will give us something without charging us. Is that feasible?
Deputy Mayor, absolutely. I can ask the question. If there's any different modeling needed for a four-way stop study as opposed to the two-way,
Yes.
I could probably Google that myself, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then just to see what if the numbers would determine the answer and what they would charge, that maybe be better one. If you could get that back to us, then maybe we might ready review it. But
Yeah, that's
okay.
what I was going to ask, if we could do that and then come back and do the motion for it so we can have some background.
Yeah,
It's-
get us that back and then maybe we can revisit it.
It seems a waste of time, really, because we've already two-way is in the go. So why would a four-way be go?
I'm thinking the same, but then you never know. I don't know how they do the modeling, so it might be something to look at. Any other, okay, so let's move on to the next one.
Thank you for that, Deputy Mayor. All I have to say is that I know that the residents have asked for that and have seen serious incidents there, and so just looking to see what we can do to make it safer there.
Yeah, thank you for that, Carl. Okay, so program requests, Councillor Wayne.
Yeah, nothing right now.
Councillor Dan,
Nothing for me, thank you.
Councillor Pat,
Nope, nothing, thanks.
Councillor George,
Nothing at this moment.
and myself, I have nothing as either. So let's move on to requests for decisions, 8.1. So go ahead, RCAO.
thank you, Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide council with information to establish terms and conditions governing the disposal of property by public auction for tax arrears. The Town Council gives second reading to Bylaw 10/2020, the property tax sale bylaw. The Town Council give third reading to Bylaw 10/2020, the property tax sale bylaw. The Municipal Government Act requires the Town of Bruderheim offer for sale by public auction any property shown on its tax arrears list if the tax arrears are not paid. This bylaw will provide clarity on the public auction terms and conditions. Town Council gave first reading to Bylaw 10/2020, the property tax sale bylaw on June 3rd, 2020. Strategic plan areas, a community that is educated on responsibilities and limitations of council and administration. Other impacts, Municipal Government Act, RSA 2000, M26, Section 419, 436.1, 418, and 436.9. This bylaw will provide clarity on the terms and conditions for those purchasing property through public auction due to tax arrears. There are statements in the bylaw that ensure that those purchasing property at public auctions are fully aware that there is no warranty on the property purchased. This bylaw will be placed on the Town of Bruderheim website when council gives third reading to Bylaw 10/2020, the property tax sale bylaw.
Thank you very much for that. So I'm looking for a motion for this property tax sale.
I'll
I'll
move
make that motion.
Go ahead, Councillor George.
I make a motion that Town Council give second reading to Bylaw 10/2020, the property tax sale bylaw as presented.
Thank you very much for that. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just wanted to say, first of all, thanks to administration for bringing this forward. It's always good to have a good bylaw in place for doing things such as this. On the back page of it, it says the Town of Bruderheim may become the owner of any property not sold at auction. Would that not become the Town of Bruderheim will become the owner of any property not sold at an auction, not may? Why does it say may? Wouldn't that be quite definite that if it's not sold, then the town inherits the property?
Mr. Mayor, we also have to consider financing that's on the property. The town is actually below paying out the financing.
I'm not sure if I understand that.
So when we put a property up for auction, we also have to register if there's any claims. So it's not an automatic, right? So there could
Oh,
be other
so
claims on
maybe-
the property, could be an estate, could be somebody used it for collateral. We have to advertise that, right? It's like
So should we-
probating property, right? So
Sure. Okay. Well, would there maybe
Okay.
be some verbiage behind why then?
Mr. Mayor, this is a template that the provincial government recognizes, but
Okay.
I can take it back and we can look
Yeah,
at
I
it
was just
if you're
curious.
not comfortable with that.
No, I was just curious and wanted to understand and if this is a template that the province typically uses for most municipalities, then it should be okay for us.
But Mr. Mayor, there's no rush. We can bring this back July 8th if you want me to look into that.
Yeah, I just wanted to understand because usually with a bylaw, things are pretty definite. It's cut and dried. And when you've got a bylaw that says may become, then the question is why, right?
Yeah, so if there's other things happening that we may not, maybe we can't afford to buy it or pay off the loan or whatever's on it. Yeah, okay. So go ahead,
Sorry.
Councillor Wayne.
So sorry, Patty, what would happen if a house went to auction and it didn't sell? Like, we don't have to take it, is that correct? Or become the owner of it?
That's correct.
So where else would it go? Just for curiosity, like what's the? Just curious, I guess. I don't know how that works.
There's
Is it more detailed than just answering?
a second here. So in the MGA, it states all this wording and it's very specific on depending on what type of commercial property, residential, industrial. I can send to council a more defined list, but it's at a finance level, all the reasons and why. And like we're under the province, right? We're just an extension of the province. And so they set the rules and regulations that we have to follow. And like right now during the COVID, they're saying nobody can auction any properties. So we do have some registered for auction, but we can't auction them. That's why everything's not as concrete in the bylaw that you're probably used to seeing.
Yeah, no, I understand that part, but why wouldn't the town overtake the property? I guess is what I'm asking. Like, what else could happen to it? I guess is what I'm asking.
Well, I guess if we set it up for auction and like there's it says here there's no guarantees in the report that there's no warranty on the property. Years ago, the town ended up with the property that the hotel currently sits on that needed a lot of reclamation. And there might be a reason to get rid of the property for that reason, right? I can give a more explicit examples of why the town wouldn't want to take the property.
Okay. No, I was just curious, like what the other options were, because I just.
So did you say, Patty, you had a list of some of the other options that were out there and you can just email that out to us?
Yeah, I'll give, sorry, I'm being vague. I just don't have the.
No, that's fine.
I don't have the MGA right in front of me, but it's very specific and I can copy those sections, send to council. We can delay the third reading if you'd like until I answer some of the questions.
It has no bearing on the answer
Okay.
or the outcome. I was just curious as to how that, like, if the town didn't take it, where would it go? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and considering we haven't had any auctions in, I don't know how many years, probably doesn't pertain to us. But yeah, just send that out to us and then we can review that at our leisure.
Absolutely.
Any other questions about the motion? Calling for a vote. All those in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 And it's carried. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to the third reading. I need a motion for the third reading for bylaw 10/2020.
I'll bring that forward.
Go ahead, Councillor Lee.
I move the town council give third reading to bylaw 10-2020, the property sale bylaw.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, concerns with this third reading? I think we handled it in the second one. Great. So all those in favor of the third reading of the bylaw 10/2020, say aye.
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 And it's carried. Thank you very much for that. Okay, bylaw 11/2020. Go ahead, CAO Patty.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Just a second, I don't have that. Sorry, I don't have the report in my package. Thanks. My apologies, Deputy Mayor. This purpose of this report is specify the powers and duties of the bylaw officer and establish disciplinary procedures for the misuse of power, including penalties and appeal process applicable to the misuse of power by a bylaw enforcement officer. The town council gives second reading of bylaw 11/2020, the bylaw enforcement officer bylaw. The town council give third reading of bylaw 11/2020, the bylaw enforcement officer bylaw. During the Municipal Accountability Program review of October 17, 2018, it was noted that the MGA Section 555, 556 requires that the town must pass a bylaw that addresses the powers and duties for the bylaw enforcement officer, disciplinary procedures, penalties, and appeal process. Administration researched bylaws from other communities and sought assistance from municipal affairs to find a bylaw that was most applicable to our community. Council gave first reading to bylaw 11/2020, bylaw enforcement officer bylaw on June 3rd, 2020. A community is educated on responsibilities and limitation of council and administration is one of our strategic plan areas. Other impacts, legal and ledge, Municipal Government Act RSA 2000, Chapter M26, Section 555, 556. A copy of this bylaw will be forwarded to Municipal Affairs when Council passes a resolution approving the third reading of bylaw 11/2020, a bylaw enforcement officer bylaw. Bylaws approved by Council through resolution are placed in the Town Bruderheim website and communicated through the newsletter.
Thank you very much for that. So looking for a motion for the second reading of this bylaw.
Sure. The town council gives second reading to bylaw 11/2020, the bylaw enforcement officer bylaw.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Wayne. Any questions or concerns with that bylaw? No questions? Here, seeing no questions or concerns, call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you very much for that.
Aye. Sorry.
I'm looking for third reading to bylaw 2020. I need a motion for that, please.
I'll put that forward.
Thank you.
I move-
Councillor.
I move the town council give third reading to bylaw 11/2020, the bylaw enforcement officer bylaw.
Any comments, questions, or concerns with that one?
I do have one question after rereading it after the second motion. I have a question about if someone was to have a written allegation claiming something against a town employee, would that person writing that allegation get a written response from the town?
Mr. Mayor, sometimes I phone the person.
So
But they would get a
they would
response.
always get a, okay, they would always get a response. Okay.
Could be
Thank you.
email, written, or verbal.
Okay.
Sometimes I find it's better to phone the person.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that it was clarified that they would get a response. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, all those in favor of final third reading bylaw to 11/2020, say aye.
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 Aye. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, on to 8.3, 2020 amended capital budget.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide council with information on the 2020 amended capital budget. The town council approved the 2020 amended capital budget as presented. At the May 20th meeting of council, council passed the amended capital budget with a total of $419,000. The 2020 amended capital budget presents totals $524,000 and is fully funded through grants. Strategic plan areas, continuance of current service levels in the community. Other impacts, MGA RSA 2000, Chapter M26, Section 242 to 246. It is beneficial for the town to take under a bigger sidewalk project in 1 year rather than to spread it over 2 years. There will be significant savings in reducing mobilization costs. There will be no sidewalk project planned for 2021. In 2019, the gas tax was doubled, one time only, to $157,635, and this grant was not used in 2019. There was a carryover from 2018 of $7,728, leaving a balance of $14,637 to be funded from the 2020 gas tax allocation. Upon council approval, administration will make the final operating budget amended capital budget and 3-year financial and 5-year capital plan available for public viewing on the town's website.
Thank you very much for that. So I need a motion to approve the 2020 amended capital budget.
I'll make that
Councillor
motion.
George, go ahead.
I'll make a motion that town council approve the 2020 amended capital budget as presented.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or concerns?
I have one question.
Go ahead, Councillor George.
What is the difference between the amended and the actual?
Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, I believe the original was 419,000 and we're at 524. So quick math, 106,000.
And that's going to come from the the gas tax?
Gas tax, yes, Mr. Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Campbell. The
Yeah.
federal government had advanced the gas tax this year. So to save on mobilization, I believe this year the mobilization tender came in somewhere just around the 25 to 30,000. And so we pay that every time we do a sidewalk contract. So it's in our best interest just to do double the work this year and not do any next year.
So it's been common practice to take the gas tax and use it for infrastructure repairs.
So Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, that's all we can use it for. It can't be used for anything else. It has to
Okay.
be used for roads.
Thank you for the clarification.
I've got a question.
Go ahead, Mayor Carl. Go ahead, Carl.
No, I think that was Wayne, actually.
That was, yeah.
Oh, that was you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor
That's
Wayne.
okay. Are any of these where it says sidewalk, park trails, is any of that the walking paths in town, repairs and work done to them? And if not, what do you know when they'll be put on here? Like, is there a time frame for them to be looked at?
Mr. Mayor, or Deputy Mayor, sorry, through Councillor Leckel, the majority of our trail system is asphalt surface, so it wouldn't be concrete surface. And part of our trail system, though, is cement, which is part of our sidewalk system has been identified. So this would only identify cement trails with this project.
Okay. Do you know when the asphalt walking trails will be looked at to do repairs and whatnot, or just to?
Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Leckel, it was in the 5-year budget. I don't have it in front of me, but I could definitely forward that information.
Please, thank you.
I believe next year we were going to start on trails, but I would have to double check.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or concerns?
But
I have a question.
Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Leckel, we are doing spot repairs this year on trails. I know that for sure.
Spot, like, what is just like, what does spot repairs mean?
Like digging out any soft spots and fixing those. Like we won't be putting full surface, but like if there's 2 meters that needs
Chunks,
repair, we
okay.
would dig out that 2 meters and fix that. Kind of like
Okay.
spot repair sidewalks. When you don't replace a whole block, you just do the worst parts, right?
Okay, no, thank you.
Councillor Lee, did you have a question?
Nope,
Okay.
no thanks.
Anybody else?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead, Mayor Carl.
Thank you. So it was mentioned about the sidewalk work that there would be some savings realized. Is there a dollar value? Is it like just the mobilization cost, or is the cost of the services a little bit less this year because of the circumstances we find ourselves in?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, or sorry, Deputy Mayor, through Mr. Mayor, we're not finding a huge savings on infrastructure bids, but what we'd be saving is 25 to 30,000 on mobilization costs next year. So we can do an extra 25 to $30,000 worth of work instead of paying to mobilize twice.
Yeah,
That's great. And the other thing is, just for information, would it be possible to get a map on where these repairs are going to be done on sidewalks, just so council knows where that is? I apologize if we had received that before, but just was looking for that.
Deputy Mayor, through Mr. Mayor, this is actually a great request. And if council approves this evening, that would adjust our program, and then we will give an updated map. So the map you had would not include these increased, right? So.
Okay, great.
Sounds good.
So,
Any other questions?
Has this gone to tender already, or is it, you already know who's doing it, or?
Deputy Mayor Schuler, through Councillor Leckel, yes, the tender closed and it's already been opened. We just haven't awarded it yet.
Okay.
So I'll let council know as soon as it's awarded.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Go ahead, Councillor George.
This contract, does it include the removal of all waste or overburden and handling of it, and not storage on our property?
So Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Campbell, yes, we're not keeping any more concrete on site. And
they
just
have
as an
to
added note, we had, I believe, 10 bids. So we had good interest in the project.
Yeah. So that means that we don't have to handle any of the overburden then. So that's a savings there.
Which does also increase our cost.
6 of one, half a dozen of another.
Yeah, for sure. Any other questions or concerns? Hearing none, call for a vote. All those in favor of the amendment of the capital budget, say aye.
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 Aye. And it's approved. Thank you very much for that. Council committee reports. I need a motion to accept the council committee reports as information.
I'll make
I'll
that
bring
move.
Councillor Dan, go ahead.
I move that the council receive the council committee reports as information.
Any questions or concerns with that? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And I need a motion to accept the mayor's report as information. Councillor
I
Dan,
can
go
do
ahead.
that.
I move that council receive the mayor report as information.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or concerns with the mayor's report? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 And the CAO's report. I need a motion for that one.
I'll put forward that motion.
Go ahead, Councillor Lee.
I move that council receive the chief administrative officer report as information.
Thank you very much for that. Any questions or concerns with that report?
It kind of goes with it, I guess, but it's not on there, I guess. Just to go back to, there was an email that went out in regards to card access. Is that just for the office, or is that more than just that?
Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Lecko. It's a great question. So I think I've shared with council before, I'd like to go with a keyless entry system to all our buildings. It's always been on my radar to get rid of the 400 keys that we have out. And so when now, because of COVID, we're installing a door button release so that we'll be able to do it behind the counter, behind the plexiglass. And so then I just inquired how much extra it would be to do the keyless entry. And so it'll just be on the admin building that we'll be doing that. It was not that much more money. So we'll have that building done and we'll be able to track who's coming and going from the building, as well as you won't have a key anymore. You'll just have to swipe a card to open the door.
And then only town employees have that, is that correct? That's not one that's given out, like for, I guess going forward, I'm looking, because you said you want to do more than just the admin building, right, in time?
So Deputy Mayor Schroeder, Councillor Loco, yes, that's correct. So yes, it would be town employees and any councillors that wish to access. And then if we had a rental, like on a community hall or whatever, you would just sign out a rental key card. And then
Okay.
that way we'd be able to track who's coming and going.
Okay. And to do other buildings, are you looking at doing that in the upcoming years, or is this something you're looking at in the near future, or?
Yeah, I mean, Dennis kind of talked about, sorry, Deputy Mayor through to Councillor Lecko, we've talked about starting to budget one building a year. The fire hall is probably the next one on our radar. And it really does give us a lot more control over who's coming and going, as well if somebody loses a key, we don't have to change all the locks, or if somebody leaves the employment of the town, we can just, stop the access. I'm sure a lot of you have been in buildings where you have key access. So we're not even sure sometimes who has keys to what in this community. And, a lot of volunteers have helped build the buildings and have helped in years volunteer and work as, referees or cleaning or whatever in arenas, probably all have keys. We're not sure. So yeah, this will definitely be a great initiative to start all our buildings.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good. Any other questions for our CAO?
I have a couple questions.
Go
if I
ahead.
may.
No problem. Yeah.
Was it determined what the source of the leak on the window at the town office was now that the window is being replaced?
Deputy Mayor, through to Mr. Mayor, I see that our Public Works Director is on. I'm sure he'd love to give you guys an update.
Evening, everybody. Mr. Mayor,
Evening.
so what we determined was the actual seal around the window above and some brick mold, brick mortar was causing the problem. More so the window. It was hidden inside the window. There was no actual sill plate or sheeting that went around it. We did a test before we removed the window, and we actually sealed the old window up, just kind of did an over sealing, if you will, just to vindicate our thoughts on it. And it was determined that it was definitely the window. That window is 25 plus years old. We just removed it, put a new one in, and we did some other work above the ceiling just to ensure that we have anything going forward. So we're pretty confident that we've ratified this from leaking going forward in the future.
That's great.
Thank you.
So probably with all the rain, if we were going to get any water in right now, we would be getting water in.
This was a really good, Mr. Mayor, through the Councillor Schuler, absolutely. This was a good trial and we haven't seen any leaks, so that's good.
Sounds good. Any other questions for our CAO?
Just a question on cost. For the keyless entry, what will that cost, like per building or per access or whatever kind of information is available?
Deputy Mayor, through to Mr. Mayor. Every building will be different. It'll be how many doors, how many access points. Generally, it's about $5,000 a door.
Thank you very much for that. Any other questions?
Thanks.
Just wondering, with all the rain, how many pumps do we have going?
Deputy Mayor, through Councillor Lee, we only, I'm sure you've seen a few times down a railway there. We have that ongoing problem with the Highway 45 water sitting there and not being able to escape. We are meeting with Alberta Transportation on Friday again. Continue talking about resolution, getting that
Excellent.
water out of that ditch and where to go.
Thanks.
That's the only area though. We've done really well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we could handle, if they would do their portion of that and help us out, get it done, we might be even looking better. Really good. Thank you for that. Any other questions for our CAO?
I
Or
have one more
Dennis, since he
question.
decided to join us? Go ahead, Mayor Carl.
I was just wondering, is there a timeline for when the town office will be regular access in the future?
The Deputy Mayor, through Mr. Mayor, I absolutely have no intentions of opening it before fall, regular access. We've had 0 complaints from residents. And with the door buzzer being installed as soon as the renovations are done, as soon as somebody comes there and you can see with the video that they're there, we'll just activate the switch and in they'll come.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sounds good. Any other questions? So now that there is none, I'll let you go, Patty. I won't ask too many questions. I need a vote. Let's vote on the Chief Administrator's Office report. Everyone in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. That's carried. Thank you very much. Correspondence.
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, did we get a motion to accept my report from somebody?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I believe Councillor Lee did.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so that's carried. Correspondence and information items. I have nothing.
I have
Carl?
one thing I wanted to bring forward is remember we had gotten the notice from the provincial government about the $200,000 ACP grant. I signed the documents yesterday for the town in regards to that grant, and it has all the details on there.
Sounds good. Nice.
No.
Go ahead, Councillor Wayne.
It was more of a question for Patty, or it just hit me like a ton of bricks, but that's why I got a headache. No, just something else in regards to coming up Canada Day. This is our last meeting prior to Canada Day. I just want to make sure that we're all kind of on the same path as to where things are going and what the expectations are. Is that something we can do after through email, or is this something we can discuss now?
Yeah, Councillor Lecco, great question. I sent out a map today that I just created. I have to be honest, we're very busy with taxes and utilities right now. So I sat down with Dennis and Sherry, and we made a map of where we think the parade should go, and met with a couple of the fire department. So basically, as far as council goes, we're just asking that you will provide some sort of vehicle or costume. And oh, he got it.
My head hurts even more now.
But we were very lucky that Mr. Mayor got us some golf carts, so nobody in costume will have to walk.
I was gonna say that's a long walk.
Yeah. So yeah, Sherry's very busy contacting people that typically go on our parade. So we're just going to try an evening parade. I'm sure you've been following all the restrictions and guidelines, and many things went around that we tossed about, but really the province is encouraging municipalities not to promote social gatherings. So even though they've lifted the restrictions to 50 and 100, they're still asking municipalities to demonstrate good social distancing at all times. So
Does
we're
that
going to
include? Sorry, go ahead.
So we're just going to do the parade. Yeah.
So does that include bears too? They have to keep distance?
As long as you have a face barrier.
I have a follow-up
The
question
theme
on the
is
parade.
the theme of the parade is Everyday Heroes. So we're hoping that council can come up with their own little costume. Whoever you think your everyday hero is during COVID-19, that would be awesome. And I'll be contacting each of you individually on options where you can ride, and you can let me know. Our MLA is coming. I don't think the MP is confirmed. So we'll have vehicles available for council.
Awesome,
Sounds
thank
good.
you.
And costumes.
So what is the, what's the start time of this, Patty?
We're going to assemble at the campground at 6:15. We'll have a parade marshal there, and we'll do some judging of, as we typically do, of the floats and entries. And then we hope to get going by 7, and we'll go straight across the street into West Woodlands, work our way through Sunset, Old Town, Railway, Brookside, and then finish off at Walker School.
So 6:15 p.m.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah, not AM.
I'm just going, holy. Anyhow, okay, good to know. Good to know. Because I'm not that early of a morning person and getting dressed up and smiling.
This afternoon, I sent out a map and a few comments about Canada Day, but I'll phone each one of you and touch base with you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So yeah, I guess that ends our meeting. Thank you very much for attending. We are getting better on our technology. I'm sorry, Patty, we didn't put in the budget to have us run around and help you on some of this stuff, but we'll work on it if we're still doing this.
So I'd like.
Go ahead, Councillor Wayne.
I was just going to make a motion if we're done.
That works for me.
Yep.
Make
Go
a
for
motion
it.
to hit the couch or go home, whichever's closer.
How about adjourning the meeting?
I gotta put some more wood on the fire.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. There we go.